Do you take vitamins?
I don't take vitamins.
Really?
Yeah. I
Wow.
don't think they do. I don't think they're needed. Because most in the American.
Hold up. You don't think they're needed while you're eating junk food?
There you have it. Dr. Peter Hotez, one of the world's most credible doctors and scientists, just dispelled this radical conspiracy theory that you need vitamins. Appreciate his work. Welcome back to the JP Rex channel, my beautiful freedom-loving friend, where we like to call out the lies, hypocrisy, and corruption of tyrants, shine the light of awareness on woke absurdities, and highlight the amazing work of other freedom fighters. Now, today, the tyrants and absurdities are brought to you by Dr. Peter Hotez, and the amazing work of freedom fighters is brought to you by Joe Rogan, Elon Musk, and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. This past weekend, there was an absolute nuclear meltdown on Twitter, I think in a great way, where in response to Rogan having Robert F. Kennedy Jr. on his podcast, which was an excellent episode, I highly recommend listening to that, Dr. Peter Hotez took to Twitter. He was rather unfond of the podcast. Here's what he said. Spotify has stopped even sort of trying to stem Joe Rogan's fucking misinformation. They're still letting him have free speech? That is constitutional. It's really true, Anna Morellan, just awful. By the way, that's an author who writes for Vice who went bankrupt because they're just leftist propaganda. Awesome reference here, Peter Hotez. And from all the online attacks I'm receiving after this absurd podcast, it's clear many actually believe this nonsense. Okay, so that's what he said on Twitter. Then Joe Rogan responds, basically inviting his butt to cash a check that his mouth wrote. So here's what Rogan had to say. Peter, if you claim what RFK Jr. is saying is misinformation, I am offering you $100,000 to the charity of your choice if you're willing to debate him on my show with no time limit. By the way, that tweet alone was seen by over 55 million people. Now, this Twitter thread, and then Elon eventually jumps in. We're not going to cover the whole thing, but let's just say Peter Hotez, his butt refused to cash a check that his mouth wrote. He refused to accept the debate. Presumably, the whole thing is absurd because he's presumably saying RFK is full of crap, he is lying, it's easy to disprove him. And yet he is unwilling to easily disprove him in front of a huge audience. Now, as Rogan offered him $100,000 to the charity of his choice, didn't even have to win the debate, just show up and you get $100,000. There's other notable public figures who then contributed to the debate pot. So the debate pot escalated to $1.5 million, and Dr. Peter Hotez still refused to accept the invitation to debate RFK. This was such a poor look for Dr. Hotez because as he had this initial tweet, but him refusing to debate RFK, it just makes RFK's statements look even more credible. It makes Hotez look like he has something to hide. Spoiler alert, I kind of think he does, while making RFK look more and more credible. And by the way, he didn't look like a coward with something to hide in front of a few people. I added up the tweets just between Rogan and Hotez alone, and the views as of this morning when I counted them were over 330 million views collectively between these tweets. Now, the population of the US is about 330 million people. So yes, Hotez may have looked like a coward with something to hide, but at least everybody in the country saw it. And that is something I absolutely love. Now, there's a compilation video of Dr. Peter Hotez that, dare we say, discredits him, discredits his authority, discredits his persona of, I tell the truth, I know what's going on with these things, because in this video we'll see he's just constantly changing his mind, backpedaling, which we might just say he is an expert at enforcing the narrative, maybe not necessarily an expert standing for science and public health. And as you saw the beginning clip of this video, he's someone who doesn't even think vitamins are necessary. And before we get to this beautiful video that's been compiled, Take a look at what the Babylon Bee says. Joe Rogan savagely bullies scientists by inviting him on his podcast to explain his position, which is great because Dr. Hotez in ensuing tweets, he has taken on the position of being a victim, which is hilarious because Hotez was actually in the position of being a bully. Here's the problem. When you're trying to bully Rogan or RFK, they don't really take it. They don't really lay down and become victims. They stand up for themselves. And this was done extremely respectfully. So this is Babylon Bee nails it. Now, let's take a journey through this beautiful compilation video of Dr. Peter Hotez.
One of the things that we're not hearing a lot about is the unique potential safety problem of coronavirus vaccines.
Whoa, he said that in March 2020. I wonder how much money made him change his mind. I wonder what kind of interest changed his mind. Not that he changed his mind, but he definitely changed his mind, as you'll see.
And then something changed.
Any vaccine released by emergency use authorization by the FDA is an outstanding vaccine.
When you hear the beep, that's the sound of safety.
So don't overthink it. They're both really good. They're all really good vaccines. Get vaccinated now.
You gotta call now.
If you wait, it's going to be really too late to protect your child.
If this was your child, what?
The group of the population that's least at risk is going to be too late to protect them. Just so science, okay?
What happens next could make it the worst day of your life.
So even though COVID poses zero threat to healthy children,
Vaccinate your children.
Do the right thing. Be safe and not sorry.
I'm strongly recommending for adolescents to get their 2 doses of vaccine fully immunized after those 2 doses.
Advanced technology
Just 2 doses, right? That's just 2. That's all you need.
that can help save lives.
This is going to be a long-lasting vaccine.
Long lasting. 2 doses, all you need. Long lasting.
A few moments later.
We're seeing that 2 doses is not holding up well.
Oh my God, he changed his mind.
Room visits is not holding up well for hospitalizations.
Here we go again.
Everyone's going to need a booster. You need that 3rd immunization.
Triple the amount.
Get that 3rd immunization. The 2 mRNA vaccines were always a 3-dose vaccine.
They always were. I mean, prior to them, they weren't. But then after they always were. Except before they were but 3 is all you need.
The 2 mRNA vaccines were always a 3-dose vaccine. I've always said this is a 3-dose vaccine.
Always.
I've always said this is a 3-dose vaccine. This is a 3-dose vaccine.
But I'm not done yet.
That 3rd immunization, the problem is it's not holding up. So we may have to look at sort of innovative solutions.
Would have thought.
Not this again.
A 4th immunization, just to keep them going, to keep the country going. We have to consider some out of the box things. A 4th immunization. A 4th immunization. Get that 2nd boost. A 2nd boost to keep the country going. I've made that recommendation. A 4th immunization.
But I'm still not done.
1 semester later.
Unfortunately, the numbers are starting to trend up again. So the hospitalizations are up. And so the most important message that I have this morning is get your new bivalent booster.
It's almost like what he was recommending isn't working, but it is. It's working so well that it's not doing the job. You got to get more of the thing that's works so well that you need more of it.
Willie and Lise were saying they got their booster, and I was like, oh, I need to get mine. And then I found out they're talking about the 3rd shot. And is that the bivalent, or is it the 4th booster, or does it matter?
Don't worry so much about the number of.
There's no
Science.
way to use it.
You have to get it. This new bivalent booster.
You can double or triple stack them.
The new bivalent one is doing a much better job. You have to get a booster.
Yeah.
You need to get this new bivalent booster. That bivalent booster for COVID.
But does everyone ages 12 and older need a booster?
The answer is yes. Yes. And by the way, if you're over 50 and have gotten 2 boosters and more than 2 to 4 months out, you're going to need a 3rd booster as well, a 5th immunization.
5.
I don't think we're going to need an annual booster like flu.
Eventually.
Dr. Hotez supports yearly boosters, just like flu.
But I'm still not done.
It looks as though the boosters are not holding up quite as well as we'd like.
As you can see, he's been very consistent with his messaging.
And I think our thinking is going to change, and that what's going to happen is every few months we may need another booster.
Dude, How about every few days? I'm done with that.
Perfect results each and every time.
We just could not overcome that massive disinformation campaign, these fake concepts of herd immunity and discrediting masks.
Wow, those fake concepts of herd immunity. My favorite fake concept is the concept of natural immunity. Earth is flat, space is fake, gravity isn't real, natural immunity, I'll lump them all in together.
Hotez, you are a national treasure.
It is picking off young people like we've never seen.
Dr. Peter Hotez, that was extremely informative.
Disinformation that you're hearing, that kids are fine, it's nonsense. Kids need to get that vaccination.
You healthcare workers have been our saviors.
Watch out for that misinformation.
Dr. Peter Hotez is probably one of the smartest people on this topic.
If you haven't gotten your 5 and up vaccinated yet, now's the time to do that.
Dr. Peter Hotez, thank you for saving the world.
They also support giving that third immunization for the 12 to 17-year-olds.
People have to feel safe.
Dr. Hotez, you are a voice of reason.
Take down the fake information, these fake concepts of herd immunity. Our last hope is to vaccinate our way through this. Make certain that everybody's vaccinated, including their kids. That's the single most important thing right now the American people have to do.
Dr. Peter Hotez was the person that we like to go to for this sort of expertise.
The single most impactful thing you can do is make certain that you're fully boosted and preferably too.
And I'm just rifling through my mind what RFK was sharing on Joe Rogan's podcast, which is just all extremely well referenced, and comparing it to Hotez's, ever-shifting, goalpost-moving, narrative-based talking points. I would pay a lot of money to see these two guys debate. I think there's a reason why Hotez is refusing to debate RFK.
Boosted.
Later.
Monkeypox is a global emergency.
Monkeypox!
And it's accelerating
Love
among a
monkeypox.
specific social network of men who have sex with men, not because it's sexually transmitted.
Monkeypox is sexually transmitted, almost exclusively.
So incredible.
Before we let you go, we have to stop and applaud you because I had a lot of MSNBC viewers who have watched you constantly for the last 3 years or so and have come to trust you. I don't know if they fully appreciate what you have done.
So that video is done by Racket News. Shout out to them. That's incredible compilation. But that's the deal. Here's the man who called out RFK Jr., called him out. I don't think it was anything legitimate based on everything I've ever heard from RFK. But nonetheless, he tried to smear him on Twitter. It apparently really backfired. I just wonder right now how freaking much Dr. Peter Hotez is regretting sending out that one tweet that got him to make himself look terrible. He just dug himself a very deep hole and then kept digging it. And it appears as though he can't really get out of that hole that he dug himself into. That's part of the beautiful thing. That's why one of my beliefs is the more tyrants and propaganda useful idiots talk, the better, because they expose themselves. If someone's brain is clicked on, we can decipher what is actually true versus what is just BS propaganda, emotional hysteria, smearing other people, a lot of division versus someone coming from a place of truth, as RFK Jr. really seems to do from my point of view. So thank you for watching this video. It's a beautiful compilation in the saga that Peter Hotez created with Joe Rogan, Elon Musk, and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. It is worth the price of admission. And before you go, I want to thank you for watching this video. And I also want to tell you about one of my favorite, healthiest snack options in my life. House of Macadamias. Guess who doesn't blindly trust the government's dietary recommendations? Yeah. I think it's time we flip the script on the food pyramid, and where better to start than freshly harvested macadamias. House of Macadamias has become my go-to snack selection when I want something delicious, nutritious, and deeply satisfying. Now, not all nuts are created equal, and macadamias just might be the healthiest nut out there. They've got the lowest carb profile out of any nut, and they've also arguably got the best fat profile. They're kind of like avocados on steroids. Macadamias are rich in the heart-healthy monounsaturated fats. They have the ultra-rare omega-7s, and they have a very favorable profile of omega-6 to 3 ratio. Here I'm working with a House of Macadamia snack bar, which is a chocolate-covered macadamia bar white chocolate bar, and super delicious dipped macadamia nuts. House of Macadamias keeps me well fueled throughout the day while helping me build my health. If you want to uplevel your nutrition with the healthiest nuts on earth, in my opinion, then check out House of Macadamias at houseofmacadamias.com/reacts. And while you're there, use the discount code REACTS for 20% off. Enjoy.